of capitalism, I feel it is now, it's just a bygone conclusion that every week I need a unicorn. What will Bezos do with $178 billion wealth on paper? As long as you, if that wealth, if you go into hospital, it doesn't, the corona doesn't say whether you are a Jeff Bezos or whether you are Chain Raj or whether you are Dinesh. It is same to everybody. So the human planet, humanity, has now going to take place on this earth. So can we all come together? So humanity is going to be the future now. India had an ancient culture, and we always said that Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. The whole world is one family. So we need to look at the brethren of the whole society of the world are as one family. So can we share with each other the knowledge, the bonding, the caring and sharing? And our needs are very less in life. We don't require any material comfort. We need that inner good inner strength, and at the same time to make the life harmonious with blended with harmony, and live life on its own genuine terms. So can we come out of the complexity and live a simple life? Can we make things simple? Can we remain focused, vocal to local, local to vocal? So homogeneity, innovation has to be shared, information has to be shared. We all can come together, and I feel now the world is more exciting now. Whether we, there are people who have had pandemics in those ages also, but now the world has come together due to, thanks to the technology which has been the fathers who created, the forefathers who created this technology. We are all one now, and even a tribal person can come on Zoom and talk to us now. So I don't foresee any poverty by next 15 years. The philanthropy, the people who are earning money has no meaning. Dollars has no meaning. For me, the meaning is the human wealth, DNS, digital nervous system. I'm more interested in DNS of mind. So our 120 trillion cells in the body, which brings out one script. So each cell is going to talk about one story. So let us create a new history. Let us recreate completely. Let us leave aside. Let us take the good things, what is in the past, which can, algorithms can go forward. Mathematics will always remain. Zero will always remain. Technology will remain. So our algorithms is there. Our strategy is there. Our human intelligence is there. Our human intellect is there. So we can come together and make this world a better place. I am very positive. I can connect with 800 crore, 8 billion population of the world and connect with them and tell them we have to live life. We have to enjoy our life. We have to enjoy that moment. Yes, it's a continuous process of learning. The blended learning will happen, or whether it will be offline, whether it will be online, whether it will be skill oriented, whether it will be job oriented, whether it will be vocational oriented, whether it will be blue collared or golden collared or pink collared jobs. Let us not talk. Let us talk about that we as community of the whole world can come together and make world a better place. The wars, the Third World War or Fourth World War, let us not get into all those things. That positives and negatives, the entire world leaders will have to come together and make the policies in such a way that the life becomes very simple, and we make our philosophy of being togetherness as one humanity as a whole. I would like to conclude. Panelists are there, and we'll discuss further next 1 hour. I think we'll discuss the outcomes of this. I'm sure the entire 20,000 participants, I would like to tell you all once again that let us live life fully, and life is going to be extraordinary, and we should make it happen, and we can make it happen. I feel the whole world can come together and make it happen. Thank you very much.
So
Thank you, Dr.
so
Sudhakar,
much.
for being with us.
Thank you so much. You've always been a source of inspiration. And to all of us, you are like the walking human encyclopedia. It is always a pleasure and honor to have you with
I
us.
would like to address all the 8 billion population on the planet in all their languages through hologram and tell them that life is just bigger, and let us enjoy that life.
Absolutely, sir.
Please welcome Dr. Sudhakar as already
Yes,
there
sir.
with us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I now request our dear HOD, Professor Sunita BK, to kindly introduce our next panelist.
He's a very young leader, a dynamic
Absolutely.
leader, Dr. Sudhakar.
Absolutely.
Good evening, dignitaries. It is indeed an honor to introduce Dr. Sudhakar, doctor by profession, social worker, and thinker by spirit. Dr. Sudhakar is a graduate in medicine from Siddhartha Medical College, Tumkur. His ambition to work to build a better society and serve the people led him toward the societal services for better tomorrow for the state as well as a country. Dr. Sudhakar has been elected thrice to Karnataka Legislative Assembly from Chikbalapur constituency and a continuous terms in the year 2013, 2018, 2019. In February 2020, Dr. Sudhakar became the youngest cabinet ministry in the government of Karnataka when he assumed the charge of Minister of Medical Education. Today, Dr. Sudhakar is leading the Karnataka's battle for COVID in a forefront. Dr. Sudhakar has been a recipient of prestigious global award from King's and Imperial College Hospitals, London in the year 2018 for his contribution towards innovation, epidemiology research, analyzing global, regional, national environment burden exposure to solvents in Parkinson's disease. Since his early students' days and even today, as his tenure as a minister and the MLA of Chikbalapur constituency, Dr. Sudhakar has been a strong advocate for greener footprint. As a doctor and strong believer in preservation of our environment, Dr. Sudhakar's commitment to fight pollution of all forms and creating a cleaner and greener tomorrow is unparalleled. Being an adherent follower of Gandhian principles, Dr. Sudhakar is committed and has taken various steps in making his constituency a model constituency in waste management in the whole state. As a result of his persistent efforts, today, Chikbalapur ranks second in Karnataka in terms of cleanliness and waste. Dear sir, it gives an immense pleasure for us, Jain deemed to be University Center for Management Studies, to welcome you. Thank you very much for your valuable presence.
Thank you, and thank you so much.
A very warm welcome to you, sir. Now I request Dr. Raghuji Anand, our HOD, to introduce our next panelist.
Thank you, Rohit. It's indeed an honor and a privilege for me to introduce Dr. Andy Wu, one of the panelists. Dr. Andy Wu is an assistant professor of business administration in the strategy unit at the HBS Harvard Business School, where he teaches the MBA and the executive education programs. He conducts research on strategies for how technology entrepreneurs internally organize and externally mobilize resources to achieve scale for competitive advantage. He received the HBS WIS Award, HBS Williams Award, Poets and Quants 40 Under 40, and Penn Prize in recognition of commitment and excellence in teaching and mentoring. Professor Wu is a founder, director, investor, and advisor of several technology ventures. He holds several patents across rapid prototyping, medical imaging, robotics, and e-commerce. He received a PhD and MS in applied economics from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, where he is a senior fellow at the school's Mack Institute for Innovation Management. While at Wharton, he received the Kaufman Dissertation Fellowship. He earned his SB in economics and mathematics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he was a Burchard Scholar. Dr. Wu, on behalf of the President, Jain deemed to be University Trust, all the principal officers, the directors, staff members, and all the participants, I very warmly welcome you to this panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Professor Sunita BK to introduce our next panelist, please.
Good evening. Varun Arun is a talented fast bowler who has a lightning quick deliveries, is right-hand batsman, right-arm fast bowler, is regarded as one of the fastest current Indian bowlers. He joined the MRF Pace Academy as a 15-year-old after impressed with his pace and skill as a scout. He made his domestic debut in the year 2008-2009 Ranji season. Arun made his ODI debut against England in 2011 with a dazzling performance of impressive figures of 3 wickets for 24 runs. His test debut came in the same year in the same venue against West Indies. Arun is probably the fastest Indian bowler right now. In the match against Sri Lanka, Arun bowled 152.5 kilometers per hour delivery, which is the third fastest delivery by an Indian international level. Currently, he represents Rajasthan Royal. More than anything else, Varun Arun, we are proud to welcome you as our alumni, and it gives an immense pleasure to welcome you as a panelist.
Thanks a lot. Good evening, everybody. It's an honor to be here. I'm looking forward to tonight's discussion.
Thank you so much, sir. And our final panelist, and now I request Dr. Varsha Agarwal to kindly introduce Dr. Kiran Momaya.
Dr. Kiran S. Momaya is a professor of technology or innovation management and sustainability at the Shailesh J. Mehta School of Management, Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai. He, along with his associates, have pioneered contributions in emerging fields such as management of technology and innovation, venture competitiveness in Asia. He has also published over 70 papers in peer-reviewed journals and authored and co-edited 4 books. He is serving as an editor-in-chief of the International Journal of Global Business and Competitiveness and co-published by Springer. He was also president of the Global Institute of Flexible Systems Management, a professional society of management from Asia that mentors leading journals such as JFSN. He has done consulting projects with ministries in India and Japan and with corporates. He has several firsts to his credit in Japan, including year-long immersion. He served as a visiting professor at the Ritusukan University and University in Tokyo. He has also worked in industry, including with Tokyo and other companies. He has been invited to give keynote addresses and contribute to several leading journals or conferences in Japan. We extend a warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for accepting to be a part of our panel discussion. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. It's great pleasure to be with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My heartfelt gratitude to all the panelists for accepting our invitation. A special thanks to Dr. Andy Wu for joining us all the way from the United States of America. It is not easy to hold an event of this dimension where there is a time zone difference of 9.5 hours. Dr. Wu, it was an absolute honor and privilege to meet you way back in February 2020, and the honor and privilege still remains the same to see you virtually today. Dr. K. Sudhakarji, we all know the kind of responsibilities you are shouldering during this critical phase, and we cannot thank you enough for your valuable time and consideration you've rendered by being on the panel. Jain sir, you've always led by example, and when most of us are done for the day, your work just gets started. Thank you so much for taking out time out of your busy schedule. Mr. Aaron, in spite of your prior engagements, choosing to be here speaks volumes about you as an individual and also highlights the immense gratitude you hold for your alma mater. Dr. Momaya, I'm sure you had to make alternative adjustments with your ongoing projects and research assignments to be here with us today. Thank you so much for making this happen. Before we start the session today, we'd like to hear quick opening comments from all our panelists relating to our topic for today, which is leading the way forward in unprecedented times. I would now request our panelist, Dr. K. Sudhakar, to open the panel discussion with your quick comments.
I would like to congratulate and acknowledge, especially my friend Dr. Chenraj Raichand, for always having these kind of innovative ideas to think in these challenging times, and having these kind of eminent scholars and like Dr. Andy Wu, Dr. Kiran Kumar Momaya, Mr. Varun, who have really excelled in their careers and for the mission of humanity. I think they have excelled in their illustrious careers. And it's a great privilege and opportunity for a politician like me to be speaking about economics. And I think you're talking about global market and economy. I, being a minister for medical education, having a graduation in medicine, I do not know how I can be a part of this great your panel. But I would like to one thing say with my experience. This is an unprecedented time for all of us. In the last 102 years, nobody has witnessed the kind of pandemic that we are witnessing today. There is the irony of this pandemic. I would like to start with a light humor way of saying, there is so much of pure air everywhere, but still we have to wear our masks. There is so much of money with everybody, but they don't know where to spend that money. And the person who doesn't have money he doesn't know the means of earning it. There are clean hands, everybody, but we can't handshake with anybody. So in this pandemic, what I would like to say is be positive, but I think we should test negative for COVID. So I think with that kind of a irony of this pandemic, let me be more seriously saying that health is wealth. We all know that. Today, I think we should be more witnessing and we should be more reassuring about this health is wealth phenomena, which we have been saying this centuries back. Our old people, our older generation used to always say, you should concentrate on health. Health is directly proportionate to the wealth. Today, economies have fallen because of this pandemic, because of this invincible, which we are not able to see, one microorganisms has threatened the dynamic countries, the most powerful, the so-called powerful countries, the communities, the medical health systems. It has challenged everybody. So it has also humbled every human being today, because we all understand that there is something superior to us, something which can be challenging any humanity or any person with intellect. So we should all be humbled down. We should understand, as our chairman, Dr. Chenraj, was saying, humanity is much bigger, and which is the basic strength of the human race. I think we should all understand the human facet of life. We should relate everything towards human facet. Similarly, economic advancement is very much necessary. Today, post-pandemic, we should look in 4C of the current pandemic. That is one thing, we should all be confident. Secondly, we should all communicate properly. Thirdly, we should collaborate. And fourth, I think we should all have a compassionate gestures. Today, the pandemic has created so much stigma, social stigma, especially in those countries like India and many other third world countries where still education, the right education is more important. Higher education should be more widely acknowledged. So in these countries, this pandemic is seen as a social stigma. I think this will have a very catastrophic effect on the entire systems. I think a continuous communication, a continuous compassionary remarks from the government and all technocrats, medical health care workers should be engaged. They should engage the societies. It should be a concrete partnership, the collaboration between the government and the citizens. So they both should really address the pandemic and contain this pandemic. I think post-pandemic, we all have, this world has, this globe has phenomenal opportunities. Especially the opportunities will be wide open to countries like India. India can be a great destination for investment. It can be the great destination for every opportunity of other countries. I think the country, our India, should really capitalize on this before containing this pandemic. I think this is the right time, and this is a great panel discussion with a great intention, clear intention by our good friend. He always thinks out of the box. He always has ideas which normally it is not in a normal course. All entrepreneurs, visionaries will think out of the box. And my friend is one person who always thinks out of the box. That is why today the Jain institution is one of the illustrious institution in the entire nation with over 80,000 to 1 lakh students throughout any season of the year. And that really I acknowledge, and the government is in complete support to such kind of educationists with a clear focus and determination to empower and enrich the youngsters. Our strength, this nation has a strength in our youth. So he is empowering our youth. The country, the nation will salute you, Dr. Chenrajji. I acknowledge the great panelists, because Dr. Andy Wu, I was just listening to the kind of achievements, the kind of knowledge he was. I would like to hear from him, Dr. Kiran Kumarji and Mr. Varun. Though I have a number of series of meetings today, I think you know that Bangalore and Karnataka, there is a surge in cases. Being in charge of COVID, I have back-to-back continuous meetings and visits to all the hospitals and facilities. In spite of this, I wanted to make it a point that I will be a part of this, at least for as much as the duration that I can spend with you. And it is a great learning. It will be a great learning for me. I acknowledge again my friend Dr. Chenraj for giving an opportunity to meet wonderful people, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sudhakar K. That was very, very inspiring to hear. Now I'd like to open the panel to Dr. Andy Wu to make your initial comments about leading the way forward.
Great. Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be here. I want to thank President Roy Chand for the inspirational remarks at the beginning, and in particular in the spirit of global collaboration that you would emphasize. I think it's really exciting that we're bringing everybody here together right now. So I will focus my opening comments and perhaps most of my comments today on my area of expertise, which is the future of the technology industry. And in particular, we are in a moment of unprecedented opportunity for the technology industry. And the reason the opportunity is so special today is I wouldn't frame it as our entrepreneurs and our innovators being more innovative. The innovation and the ideas have been there, but the constraint on the adoption on a lot of technologies hasn't been the ideas. It's been our ability as organizations and societies to get beyond our own inertia and make the switch. And I'm thinking about examples of things like education. As a professor, I've fought very, very hard to protect the way I normally teach, which is in person. I've resisted online education very strongly. We've been thrown into it now, and we've got to take on online education seriously. And in the process of doing so, we discovered that there's various parts of what we do that are perhaps better online. But at the same time, and everyone here knows well, there are lots of parts of what we do that are not better online. They're also better in person. And so what we've done is we've given an opportunity to reinvigorate our commitment to the things that have to be done together and in person, but also move forward to the opportunities that can be done separately, virtually, digitally. And in order to have a vision of where things are going to split on those lines, we've got to have a vision about the future of work and the future of play. In terms of the future of work, what are the kinds of jobs and stuff that we don't have to do in a co-located sense that we can be doing virtually? And what are the kinds of businesses that can benefit from selling services that facilitate collaboration? I've been doing a lot of research on a company you guys are aware of, a company called Zoom, and we've been working with their executive team to learn about how they've been handling this transition. And obviously they benefited greatly in that people need online collaboration, and that they think that this opportunity has shown a lot of companies that you don't need to have your employees in the office. You can work virtually over Zoom. But at the same time, it's even made Zoom immensely aware that not everything can be done remotely. Trust me, as painful as it might be for you to sit all day on Zoom in meetings, the executives at Zoom themselves know exactly what that feels like. They spend their whole day sitting on Zoom too, and they can become exhausted in the same way that we can become exhausted living in this kind of virtual world. So again, we need to think about the future of work as well as the future of play. And when I say the future of play, I mean in the sense that the current world has shifted people dramatically towards a combination of social media and video games, and that the adoption of both those kinds of technologies for play has gone up dramatically. And those have good and bad consequences for how we might go forward. So I've done a lot of research on the video game industry, and in the video game industry, there's actually, as people say negative things about it, but actually it's a great environment for people to work together in teams, to interact with their friends, and to like do somewhat of a mentally stimulating activity. The one that I've been watching closely that I'm very cautiously looking at is social media. I think social media has some risks that we're all dealing with as a society. Like, as you know, in India, they've recently banned like TikTok from the country. That's only one example of sort of foreign interference that you might be worried about, but it's not even foreign interference that I'm most worried about. It's that if we all shift into engaging purely in digital social media, it has a number of adverse consequences for our own health and psychology, and I'll happy to get into that later. But again, so my high-level takeaway is we have a tremendous opportunity to shift the equilibrium, to get out of our inertia and change the existing ways in which we work and play.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Vu.
Yep.
That is pretty insightful. Now I'd like to hear from Mr. Aaron. What do you have to speak on the sports front? Where do you see in terms of leading the way forward in unprecedented times when we talk from a sportsman point of view? Because we have a lot of sporting people around the world. Now, what is it that you'd like to advise, and what is it that you'd like to comment about this particular situation to the young sporting generation?
Yeah, hi, good evening, Rohit. Thanks a lot for having me here. I mean, it's a privilege to be a part of this. And I feel this is a really good initiative by Jain University to just spread awareness and also give people a way forward in these times. Because I mean, it has been tough. It has brought quite a standstill to a lot of industries, and the sports industry not being an exception. But yeah, I mean, I feel this time has been really insightful for a lot of us. Just for example, it's been so important that we are self-reliant as sports people at the moment. Before, I mean, just being a part of a team sport, we've always been spoiled with a lot of support staff. We've had a trainer, a physio, a coach looking after various aspects of our game. But now we are mostly alone, and there's only so much you can do virtually with your trainer or your physio or your coach. So it's taught a lot of us how important self-reliance is when it comes to going about a profession. Because at the moment we can only work with the knowledge we've gained throughout the years and make the best of it. The other thing is, I mean, stuff we took for granted before, just facilities. We could just rock up to any facility in any part of the world or country we are and just practice. But now, I mean, it's so different. We've got to choose a particular time to go there, or we don't even see the nets for a few days, weeks, and stuff like that. So I mean, it just gives us so much more value for what facilities we were getting before. And yeah, I mean, for most of us, this is, I mean, it's never been this way. I mean, we haven't played the sport for this long. I mean, being fit. So we're all fit at the moment, but we aren't playing. So it's a totally new challenge. And at the moment, there is no end to this because we really can't see when cricket, for example, is going to start in India again. But there are a lot of reports in the air saying that it's going to start in October, November, but there hasn't been anything official. So yeah, I mean, we're all in the dark, but at the same time, we're all equally motivated and equally enthusiastic to get back on the field. And we're just figuring out new ways to go about training, practicing, and just, I feel this is also a great time for self-discovery. A lot of us, we're always on the road, but now we just isolated in our homes. So there's a lot of time to look within and see where we've gone right, where we've gone wrong, and improve the days ahead. Yeah, so thanks a lot for having me here, and I'm really looking forward to the chat after this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Aaron. Dr. Kiran Momaya, your opening comments, please.
Yeah, thanks very much. If possible, I would like to share the slides. So if screen sharing is permitted, Dr. Varsa, you can try. First of all, it's really a great privilege, and I thank the Jain University President Dr. Roichan, Dr. Sudhakar, and very illustrious panel, Dr. Andy Wu and Arun. So nice to hear, like views from such a diverse people about the optimism, about the future of our Mother Earth. And I'm very happy to be part of this particular August gathering with such a large audience. Let me share a slide to really throw some facts and figures before we go further. So, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I want to show you some. I belong to an institute called Indian Institute of Technology, and IITs need no introduction in India as well as in many countries. However, the perception of IIT is very different. I have been with IIT for more than quarter century, and I've never seen IIT so lonely. Even in the summer when many of our students go for internship or they graduate, there are postgraduates, interns, and many other people which keep the campus vibrant. But here I want to share a slide where I'm saying that IITs are not only about education, they're also about research. And this slide gives just a glimpse of the research centers at IIT Bombay. More than 20 research centers have been there and new research centers are coming up. So IITs as a education focused institution to shifting towards research focused institution, these are very, very unprecedented times. Let me show you a slide which projects 4 graphs. And I want you to observe 2 points. First, number of cases per day, which are given on the y-axis. The 4 countries are USA, Brazil, Russia, and India. And you can see the pattern that how the number of new cases have really come up. The second axis is the stretching duration of mountain or plateau. Dr. Sudhakar is with us, and many people who are leading the fight against corona in India, in states, in many countries, always want to see that can we really have the mountain at the lowest, as low as possible? Can it plateau out very fast? So I want you to see 4 other graphs. Here are 4 other countries: South Korea, Japan, China, and Germany. And I want you to observe the same 2 points. How are the levels in terms of the y-axis, which are very different for the 4 countries, and how fast the countries are actually reaching the plateau and coming back from this pandemic. So what you can observe here is that there are some countries that didn't let the first wave stretch long. They understood the threat, they responded very fast, and they really could do something which really not only kept the peak low, but also contained the whole thing. So look at the last graphs where still we are not seeing what will be the peak and when it will arrive and when it will start going down and how long will it take. Here are 4 countries which have a very different kind of the graph. And my belief is that these countries may be able to move on quicker. So the kind of the optimism we are seeing, every country would like to really get out of this pandemic and then get back to normal. But then the abilities and capabilities of the countries will be different. And these graphs are just pointing out at that kind of the thing. Now, I wanted to show some international comparisons. Actually, the panel discussion is amazing in terms of its focus on global markets and economy. Here are some parameters which you look at from the different perspective. The first one is carbon dioxide emissions. You can see that India has very low carbon dioxide emissions, but the worrisome point is the change. Similarly, in terms of energy consumption, the low things are known for India, but the growth rate of energy consumption in India has been very, very high. In the next slide, you see an important issue about the pollution. Air pollution is one thing which we are concerned about. in our developmental model, where we want to see the cities grow, the towns grow, but if the air pollution in all these things becomes worsens, then what we are seeing the clean air today, which still we have to wear the mask, the ironies which Dr. Sudhakar mentioned about, that kind of the ironies will not face. So other point is about the plastic, which is the waste generated, and we know that currently still the share of the global mismanagement plastic waste, India is low, but if India doesn't manage this well, India can get into trouble in terms of piles of plastic and garbage outside the outskirts of cities, which are hurting us. So I want to really tell something about that. How shall we think about the challenge and the way forward? There is no doubt that times are unprecedented for several reasons. For many, many years, the growth engine of the world has not been the USA or Europe, but countries such as China and India. But these countries are very dense, and hence, being that kind of the dense, they are vulnerable to such kind of the pandemic. We all know that the movement has really, reduced tremendously. Forget about international movements, even interstate movement, even sometimes intercity movement is becoming a nightmare in many countries and India. Many industries are very badly affected, from airlines to hospitality industry, and that does create some kind of the challenges for the youth. For example, even education has been vastly disrupted, and we are struggling to see that how can we ensure the learning of our students. In fact, there is a lot of learning for us as faculty first, because we enjoy the face-to-face interactions and intense interactions, and now it's becoming very difficult to really have that level of the intense interactions in a virtual mode. But then they will also face some challenge in terms of opportunities. Nevertheless, I don't want them to worry about the opportunities, as Dr. Chandras and Dr. Sudhakar and all rightly mentioned, Dr. Wu also, that there are tremendous unprecedented opportunities waiting for those youth who are willing to think different. So let me really tell a little bit briefly about the future of education. That while education is also badly hit, exams, schedules, online things, but I personally believe that good institutes will recover. And from immersive learning, which we used to have at IIT Bombay campus, where we wanted our students to be on 24/7 on campus, we have to think about the hybrid form of learning. Uh, in terms of the strategy towards recovery, management centers like CMS would have to very critically review the cost, revenues, and other kind of the delivery mechanisms. I'm MDP coordinator at my school, and I personally believe that we need to think about the viable options for e-learning, because many of our MDPs used to be in a face-to-face mode, because strategy MDPs believe in actually having the participants and understanding and working with them. We have to think about the new value. And how do we create this new value? Value which is not only economic value or financial value, which can be measured, but a social value and value which like goodwill towards a lot of people, empathy towards the poor, and seeing that how our systems can get back, how can we really that improve our system so that they don't get hit by such kind of the pandemic. These are the initial words I will start with. I'll stop here and we'll come back with the learning from our live pilot we have done at IIT Bombay.
Thank you so much. So now over to Dr. Varsha with her questions, please. You'll have to kindly unmute yourself, Dr. Varsha.
Sorry. So now we will take the queries received from our participants. So first question is for our panelist. Which area in the economy do you think require the most attention and innovation post COVID-19? So I would like to go to Dr. Sudhakar. What is your say on this? Dr. Sudhakar, you can unmute yourself.
The focus should be, especially in a country like India, it should be on the industries where there is more number of people working. It should be, like in garment industry, textile industry, Similarly, tourism industry, where there is, similarly, service industry. These are the sectors where we need to think differently, because in the changing times, how we can adapt to the situation and continue with the progress. Uh, and also, in these sectors, there will be a huge employment opportunity. In a country with so much dense population, we need to think that human resource should be optimally utilized. So such sectors should get the importance from all the governments.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Andy, would you like to say something on this?
Yeah, so besides the obvious need for a variety of innovations in public health and healthcare and such, which hopefully we'll do, but who knows if we're going to follow through and actually learn our lesson on that. I'll focus more on the technology space. And if you think about I would say I would break up sort of digital technologies into two categories. One category is things like Zoom, which facilitate just purely digital interaction. Those have been totally fine in the current environment. The other side is the more challenging one, which is the digital technologies that facilitate in-person interaction. So, for example, things like Uber and like delivery services like Flipkart or Amazon. Right? There's actually a lot of human interaction that those things facilitate, and there's two challenges. One is that the fundamental business model of those businesses is already flawed. As in, prior to the crisis, they weren't making money. Even today, it's still not clear they're really making money. And so there's just a lot of inefficiencies right now in logistics and like the in-person interaction that still make the business not so successful. They've been better off today because of the environment created by the health crisis, but we shouldn't be tricked into thinking that's permanent. Once the crisis ends, the vast amount of deliveries that Amazon or Flipkart is making is going to go back down. And that's going to take away scale from them. And it's going to go back and show us the flaws that originally existed in those businesses. And we need to continue innovating on the dimensions of logistics, supply chain, automation, as well as I think as a general point here, I think the nice thing about those businesses is that they actually do require a lot of labor. And even when we innovate with automation and stuff, it's still going to require a lot of labor. And to the extent that we can promote those businesses, it's actually good because you can bring a lot of people in and put them in the workforce.
Thank you so much, sir. This query was asked by Professor Anumati and Professor Pallavi. The next query is for Mr. Varun. This query is asked by Professor Rohit, actually. What does the pandemic mean to the sports industry? In your opinion, how will the sports economy recover from this?
Yeah, I mean, it has dealt a massive blow to the sports industry for sure. Because from a sportsman's perspective, one of the biggest highs we go through on a field or in an arena or anything is the crowd. And if you see most sports events are happening without crowds. The F1 just started yesterday without crowds. I'm a big F1 fan, and it was really funny for me to see the F1 happen without a single person in the stands. And for all practical purposes, even cricket might be played at least till we get a vaccine without spectators. So that's something which is going to be new for us. But when we talk about the economic side of it, I feel it isn't going to deal a major blow to the economy side of the sport of most sports when it does start, because if you see, most sports are reliant mainly on broadcasts and sponsorships, and for example the gate money or the spectators, it adds up to a very small part of the revenue for a club or for an organization. So, I mean, sports on the whole is still not going to face that much of a blow, because your broadcast and commercial, when I say commercial, I mean your sponsorships and stuff like that are still going to be intact. And at the moment, I mean, just talking to people, general people like my neighbors, my friends, they're all really, really keen to see sports, because there's actually not much live action happening on television or being streamed. but that said, I mean, if this prolongs, then it might be a huge setback, because each league, each club have certain agreements with broadcast units and the broadcast rights which they've sold. It all comes with terms and conditions. So yeah, I mean, if sport gets up and running soon enough, there shouldn't be a major blow like other industries. But yeah, if it just takes longer and longer, then we never know what the repercussions will be.
All right. Thank you so much on that. The next question is to Dr. Chenraj Roychand, and also I'd appreciate if all the other panelists can quickly give their views on it as well. Sir, right now the entire student community is at a pause. What can we do in order to equip them more innovatively?
Student community is very creative. So how do we engage them through online as of now? That's more important, and it's a continuous learning. I did say in my opening remarks, it is now education is a continuous learning. It is not about degrees now. Harvard as an university itself, nobody is there. Stanford, they are redefining education now. So it is going to be blended and hybrid, what Momayaji said, but I feel the students have to become entrepreneurial in nature and find a self-employment opportunity. I see 50 million entrepreneurs to happen in SME sector and MSME in an innovative way, and what has traditionally been doing. So I want every student to do a research, get into simulation ideas, and understand the community within that locality there, and fulfill the needs of the minimum of 20-30,000 population, and still he can make a career out of it. So he don't require a job now. His job seeker is not required at all. I think I would like to declare my university as a job seekers need not apply at all. Job providers need to come here. In fact, I have already told my professors to come out with a business plan, and 120 business plans they have given, and we are launching that entrepreneurship. So we should create 50,000 entrepreneurs in 3 years' time. Jain University's plan. So every student who is 18-20-year-old student, especially in higher education sector, if he can just, India has 130 crore population and the world is 8 billion population. Sitting here, you can give a lot of, a person who is good at mathematics can teach more than 20,000 students across the world. As a person is good at analytics or machine learning or coding, he can teach the entire tribal population and say, okay, I'll charge 1 cent from you and still make a career out of it. So it is now the global aspect where a person has to see the scalability. I'm not talking about few edtech companies, MOOC platforms or hybrid learning, offline will stay, but I would like to see that the student need to complete in their lifetime some 500 skills in their lifetime to keep on generating new avenues to survive. So the wealth has to be distributed. It cannot be on only few people who are holding 80% of the wealth of the world. So I will say bottom of the pyramid, everybody has an opportunity. A farmer needs to sell his product across the world. And Afghanistan person should sell his dry fruits across the globe through online platforms. So we have already created a model student store across the Jain. We have 2 lakh, more than 500,000 we have got alumni, and we already created student stores. Whatever is their need, they should get within their community and run. So it is all one giving to another, one sharing others. So it goes on like that. So for me, this is a kind of a blended model of continuous growth of a student community.
All right, thank you, sir. Dr. Andy Wu, from the Harvard Business School perspective, how do you see the future of education converging into, do you think it's going to converge into a different model, or how do you think will be the future of education at the HBS?
So I think we're still very committed to the power of in-person co-located education. And in the meantime, there are plenty of opportunities for online education that HBS has been taking advantage of. My colleague, Professor Bharat, he's now a vice provost for the school. He's led our initiatives in developing various programs that can be taught online. And so what we found is there's certain skills like basic economics, accounting, that can be delivered well online. That said, when we get back to our core goal at HBS, which is training general managers, so CEOs and vice presidents of companies and top executives, we find it really, really important to bring them in the classroom and have them engage in spirited discussions around our cases, which you guys are familiar with, spirited discussions. And we find that that kind of environment is the best for at least training leadership. in that sense, right? And then it's one thing to be able to do an accounting equation on paper, and you can watch a video and learn how to do that. It's another thing to be able to take those accounting numbers and argue with another executive that this is the strategy we should take given those numbers. And we really need to give our students real practice. The other thing is that, like, one of the things I've learned in the last few months is that when students are worried about the fall, they're not worried necessarily that their classes are going to be online. I'm not the student's biggest priority. The biggest priority that they're worried about is they're going to lose the opportunity to socialize with each other. That's the number one thing that they're actually scared they're going to miss. And so what we've really discovered is that, wow, like, you cannot, like, this is not something we can fight the students on. Like, we're bringing the students back to campus in the fall because this is the number one thing the students care about. They need to be able to interact with one another, to make friends, talk about ideas, build a network for the future. Even some people get married to each other, right? There's a whole bunch of levels of networking. And so that I don't think we can take away. I do think there's, again, opportunities for basic tasks as well as long-term, lifelong learning, simple things. But otherwise, leadership training, we've got to do in person.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Dr. Momaya, any quick comments on that note?
So I think that we call this as a discontinuity, and discontinuities are very good to get off the treadmill. Most of us have been running on the treadmill, just going in the same direction. And the fundamental thing is that the future of work is going to be redefined. The future of the education, future of the play is going to be redefined. In this context, I feel that if we think about the flexibility, that I don't really focus on few skills, but I'm open to learn new skills. And today I may start in a virtual mode, but the moment I get the opportunity to do something physical, and still we need physical, right? We eat physical, we have so many supplies physical. So there is a physical supply chain which are running. And these times are golden opportunities for somebody to learn fast. Because openings are coming, the supply chains are disrupted, all these things. So I feel that education, if we teach them this ability to really fall and then stand up and then do something new and then learn from that and learn new skill, that kind of the liberal meaning of the education is very important in current time.
All right. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, our next query is for Dr. K. Sudhakar. What measures has the government of Karnataka taken to fill confidence in the minds of people of Karnataka?
See, ever since this pandemic started, we were the first ones to react to it. Like, in the airports, we started screening the international passengers in both Bangalore International Airport and as well as Mangalore International Airport. We adapted this 5T policy strategy, that is tracing and tracking, then testing, treatment to the people who were infected. So using the technology, the 5th T strategy was to use the technology and ensure a proper quarantine was adapted, the testing were followed. We also came up with what is called as tele-ICU, first of its kind. Everybody knew about telemedicine. Tele-ICU is a different module where we had a centralized tele-ICU with 4-shift, 6 to 7 experts from different departments. They were there guiding the nook and corner of Karnataka, other doctors, to save the life, So we had Bidar to Gulbarga to Ballari, people were admitted there. We started ensuring that a uniform standard treatment protocol were adopted from all the hospitals throughout the Karnataka. So these kind of technology, and also we used a proper human resource. Like, we started training the healthcare professionals to the tune of more than 2 lakh people through online, using our Rajiv Gandhi digital platform with the help of NIMANS. Similarly, to start with, we had only 1 or 2 labs, virology labs throughout Karnataka state. From there, in 3 months, span of 3 months, we escalated, we scaled up from 2 labs to 80 labs today. From 200 tests that we were doing initially, we can test as many as 20 to 30,000 per day today. So this is how we scaled up. We also had a preparedness. We visualized how this pandemic, there will be a surge in number. So we prepared ourselves during the lockdown phase. Like we ensured that the government facility is optimally utilized in terms of beds, human resource, ICU, and ventilators. Similarly, now when these facilities are filling up, we have gone back to the private sector where more than 60% of the healthcare is managed by our private sector in Karnataka. So there is a robust system. Also, the advantage in Karnataka is that we have as many as 60 to 70 medical colleges across the state. So we have a huge healthcare, medical graduates, postgraduates, and students. So we are using all this human resource to our advantage. And time to time, we are following all the guidelines. We are following what is happening around the globe in terms of not just the precautionary measure and also the treatment protocols. Since it is changing so dynamically, we are keeping a track on what is happening globally. So the policy of us has been like act local, think global. So at the local level, we have what is called as, we have formed a task force committee, which is at the booth level. A booth, the polling booth is, we have about 300 to 400 households where this task force committee will be in charge of the quarantine measures, going household and finding out how many ILI cases are there in these houses who are vulnerable. We are going to test all those people who are vulnerable. So these are broadly, these are such measures we are following. And every day, as I told you earlier, communication is a very, very important aspect of, imbibing the confidence in the people who are already alarmed with misinformation, with so much going around the social media. So this is the hour of time where the government constantly engages with the community, and we also engage the community who are voluntarily coming forward and trying to contain this pandemic along with our health systems. So we are trying to create a fine balance between the both. And we today I also appeal to those students who are appearing for their post graduation, who works in the COVID hospitals. They would be acknowledged and rewarded with a special incentive, not just financially. Also, we'll consider them for giving the admissions in their super specialty and post graduation institution. So, not just by law we can combat this. With lot of kind of nice way we need to engage the society, engage the human resource. Already we are 4 months now from pandemic which has started. People who have been involved last 120 days, day and night they have been working. The doctors and the healthcare society, they're all fatigued already. Not fatigue them more. We have to really imbibe, we have to reinforce the kind of confidence, the morale boosting should happen from all of us, and we should take everybody together. This is the very challenging times, and I think we should all get over this as early as possible. That's all we can hope and pray for.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. K. Sudhakar. And we totally understand that there is brevity of time at your end. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we totally acknowledge and appreciate your presence.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Dr. Chenrajji. It's
Thank you,
again
Dr.
incredible work you are doing for education. In the field of education, I want you to expand from education also to, of course, you're doing a lot in healthcare, but I think your healthcare vertical also should be equal to your education vertical.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhakar. Thanks for that, and your support is always appreciative,
Absolutely.
and we continue this mission of serving the society. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, so continuing with our next set of questions. Now, the next set of questions is for all the panelists out here. The immediate outcome of the crisis is increased unemployment. What will be the long-term effects on the economy, and what will be the future of remittances post the COVID-19 era? So, Chairman, sir, would you like to take this question?
Unemployment is one of the major aspects which is world over it is. People talk about V-shaped recovery, U-shaped recovery, but according to me, it is L-shaped recovery. It is a process. So the concept of skilling, the governments has to print the money and see that the economy is alive and they get the, I mean, India, at least the roads are built, people start getting jobs. Migrant workers, almost we have more than 98% of the people in India are in unorganized sector. So the concept of reskilling is very important, and they have to continuously be brought, whether it is a construction sector, whether it is any other services sector, even services sector also you have to reskill yourself, even if it is a stock market. So the concept of skilling has to happen, and the degree concept has to go away, and it has to become very affordable. The global institutions like Harvard, MIT, Stanford, and Indian top IITs, IIMs, and some good institutions in India have to collaborate together and create a complete, rephrase the whole model with the corporates and bring out the continuous learning on the shop floor. So knowledge, theory, practicals, and hands-on skill. All three has to come together. It is just not going to be passing on information and he upgrades the skill. It doesn't work like that. Now, I have a feeling I'm scared that India cannot, if it attracts civil war, what happens? For more than 12 crore to 15 crore, 30 crore people, when our Honorable Prime Minister says that 800 million people will be given 5 months of free ration and 1 kg of rice, that means you are already declaring that India is 80% of the population requires roti, kapda or makan. So it has to be completely redefined. The governments have to come forward, not only philanthropists, the governments have to come forward to rechange the entire strategy. And education has to become very affordable. Very few can afford higher education. Now, for example, UK and USA, I think lakhs of people, billions of dollars will get affected there. Billions of dollars. UK itself will be losing $40 billion for the students across the world coming and studying there. So India has 130 million population, 1,300 million, or what, 130 crore population. Imagine 35, 45 crore youngsters, more than 60% of the population is below 30 years. So it is about completely reskilling. Like there are community colleges in USA. You talk about refrigeration, you talk about a plumber, you talk about now this white collar job or blue collar job. Whether you talk about the food products, you have mixed food products and you can give the recipe across the world. So it is about the skilling. It is about the continuous process. Millions of opportunities can be started out, but all the global institutions have to come together to work for that. Yes, contact sessions will happen. Higher education will become contact sessions Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to Friday, learn while you study. So that is services sector or that is skill-based sector. The process is going to be ongoing process. And I foresee across the world, it is going to be L-shaped recovery, not U-shaped and V-shaped. Yes, the concept of integrity and inclusivity has to come together, and process of innovations and imitations become faster, and we'll see new products and new services more than ever. So the job has to be redefined completely. That's what I feel, and it is possibility. So it is self-employment opportunity. People will find their own way. Agriculture, agripreneurship is going to rule the world. Organic farming or agripreneurship, or you talk about a terrace gardening. So agriculture will create the more important facet for the global economic growth now. Services sector do contribute to 80% of the world economy, but still agripreneurship is going to be the future, because the basic grocery and basic health and basic medicine and basic education, this is going to become the order of the day.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Dr. Andy Wu, coming to you. Do you think that we'll be seeing new friendships and dependency between countries? If so, where would the shift take place?
In terms of the relationships that you're talking about between countries, I think, to be fair, I think we're in kind of a challenged time right now. Mm-hmm. And I am worried about a lot of our ability to sustain global cooperation. At minimum, so a lot of my research actually focuses on the power of like in-person meetings and collaboration and innovation. And when we cut off global executives from visiting one another, we just can't create the relationships that we need for trust. And again, the way we think about it conceptually is that like a contract, like a written legal contract can only protect so much, right? The stuff that's not in the contract depends on trust and relationships, right? And again, the virtual thing just can't achieve the same level of trust. I think it's easy, as we've shifted to like a purely digital economy, to have like these disjoint parties of people like working on things in sort of a less cooperative way. And like, I think this will expose some of the tensions like across countries. Now, that said, like, I do think that we're in a position where like we've tested global relationships and we can't really break them. And I'll give you one particular example. So like Apple was like criticized pretty heavily early on in the coronavirus crisis for having all its manufacturing in China. And obviously coronavirus hit China first, and like a lot of its supply chain got disrupted, and that made Apple look bad. But the funny thing is, it turns out that Apple ended up being right in that China also like aggressively eliminated coronavirus because of the government structure and everything, right? And like, Apple is symbolically making moves to pull supply chain out of China, but substantively speaking, it's still going to be in China. And you will still continue to have that kind of global cooperation. I think there's a tremendous opportunity for India to serve in both a manufacturing as well as a technology development role in the same kind of way globally. And so the model I would look for India and working with other countries is the following. So the Zoom product we're using right now is largely built in China. So it's an American company, but a large team of Chinese engineers built this product. India can offer the same kind of ability to develop new technology products globally. And we already see this a lot actually in the video game industry. Interestingly, there's a lot of Indian entrepreneurs developing video games for other countries. And we'll see the same. I think we're going to see the same thing in other technology products. And that's what I'm really excited about.
All right. Just to add on that, Dr. Wu, recently about a week ago, we had one of the biggest tycoons in India called Reliance Jio, who has now released a similar platform like Zoom, and very soon will now be taking on the market. So I think whatever you just said, I think it has come true. And now they're trying to test their products widely in the market. All right. So now enough is being discussed today, and we've got a lot of viewpoints from all our amazing panelists over here. I have one common question for all over here, and I request you all to kindly give me your closing comments on this particular question. And the question is, what will be the most optimized and win-win solutions in kicking back the economy after the COVID-19 phase? So starting with Professor Momaya, would you like to take on this question, please? And please give us your closing comments on the same.
Personally, I believe that this opportunity of discontinuity has shaped many relationships. For example, relationship of government and entrepreneurs, relationship of bureaucracy, and relationship among the states. So what Professor Andy is saying, the collaboration and cooperation, that has many, many facets. And I don't believe, we can talk about optimistic, but yes, there need to be, the tremendous amount of cooperation among the stakeholders within at a city level, within state level, between state to state. and of course internationally. So there, Dr. Chandra's view about the humanity, that we look at it as a humanities problem, and then we really try to see that who are the worst affectors and how do we really take care of the basic needs. While entrepreneurial ideas will certainly like to like scale up and make some growth of the businesses. So I think that there are a lot of such kind of win-win opportunities between the stakeholders, but entrepreneurs should have take the lead, because to me the governments are exhausting their what Dr. Sudhakar mentioned about the healthcare workers, and their last 4 months they worked and they're exhausted. So same way I think that the bureaucracy is exhausted, their finances are exhausted, and a poor country like India affording so much of the social support in such a long period to such a large population, migrant workers, indicates that the entrepreneur has a lot of big role to play in these win-win partnerships.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And Mr. Aaron, coming at you, what do you think will be the win-win solutions and the process to kick back from the sporting industry point of view?
Sorry. Hello.
Yeah. Go.
Yeah. I just feel that the most important thing should be to find a viable way between the government and the sporting industry to be able to start sports again. And this can only happen if there is absolute cooperation between the two parties. And without cooperation and without commitment from both sides, it cannot happen. Because I mean, if you look at it, sports is a massive way for the masses to take their minds off the current ongoing problems. Because if I mean, I mean, most people are really anxious on a daily basis with the way Corona is going. And I mean, a lot of people are getting depressed. People are having problems within their family. A lot of couples are parting ways, and people are losing their jobs. There are innumerable problems. But I feel sports is something where people really get their minds off their daily issues, their problems. So I feel it's imperative for sports to start. And the only way it can start is through cooperation from between the government and sporting industry. And yeah, I mean, that's the way we can have a win-win situation. Because I feel not just the industry would benefit, but the government with taxes, with the amount of revenue sporting events generate. And I feel like our government of India should do whatever possible to keep for example, a massive sporting event like the IPL in India, because it'll mean a lot of revenue for the country. Instead of it going out, there's a lot of talk of it going out to various other countries. But it's really important for it to happen in India, because one, like us, the players would obviously love playing in our own country, and generates a lot of revenue for the government. But like I say, there has to be proper share of information and cooperation between the government and all sporting industries. So yeah, that's the way I see it going forward.
All right. Just one quick addition on that. What do you want to tell the young students listening to you out here, who are day in and out just thinking about what is going to happen to their career in terms of sports? Any quick advice to the students who are listening to you right now?
I feel they should just hang in there. Because I mean, even if there wasn't COVID, us sports people, we go through so many injuries. So I feel a lot of them should just treat it like an injury, that this is a setback and you're not able to play the sport, and tell yourself that there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel, instead of panicking and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, this phenomena is happening to everybody. It's not just happening to one person. So we're all in it together. And yeah, they just have to hang in there, be strong, make sure they're as disciplined as they would be in their normal routine. Because it's really easy to lose self-discipline in these times, because there's no sight of the end, where somebody can put in a number and say, okay, the virus, we're going to get a vaccine now, and things are going to be normal again. So it's really important to maintain self-discipline, maintain the belief in yourself that you can bounce back out of this and succeed again. And yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. And also this is like a great time for not just sports people, but for students. I feel for everybody to introspect and go within and see what more you can do with your life. Not just play cricket, not just study, not just be good at your job or whatever. This just gives you so much more time. Dr. Momaya he gave a good example about the treadmill. I feel this is the time when the treadmill stops and you can just get off it and just go within and see what more you can do with your life. So yeah, I feel this is a tough time, but it's also a time where it gives everybody great opportunity to see how they can maximize not just their careers but their lives.
Absolutely, thank you so much. Chairman sir, coming to you, what would be your take on the win-win solutions?
I have a past incident of Reliance Industries. When you talk about this naphtha product, and there was a global depression, the entire product of lab alkane benzene. So whenever there is a crisis, necessity is a mother of invention. So I did say that only 500 entrepreneurs, global entrepreneurs across the world can solve the problem in 7 days if they come together. That's why I said that's more important. And another point, if all the manufacturing, if people across the world, developed countries, say that, okay, we come to India and manufacture our products in India, I think it solves the problem. But more than that, the youth is a continuous skilling. So when Linkar alkane benzene, when it was lying with Bombay Dyeing and Reliance in tons and tons lying waste in the godowns from naphtha or backward integration, Dhirubhai came out with an excellent idea. He was not a Harvard graduate or Wharton graduate, or he required any innovation. He just straight away said, okay, let me bring all the women's across in the village and use this Linkar alkane benzene product into straight away create papad, Lijjat papad. And 1 million women were employed. Kurian went into Ahmedabad and started movement of milk, and it became Amul as a brand of the world. So necessity is a mother of invention. So the sustainability comes. So 1 million entrepreneurs we can create like anything once we come with an idea. Whether you take pickles or whether you take anything, because that is the need of that. And women are across. So self-employment opportunities in real. You take breads, you take anything. I'm talking about the very low strata of the society, how they can still manage. There are a lot of microfinance companies. Mohammed Yunus, Bangladesh is a classic example. In Bangladesh, in COVID or un-COVID times, he created an entire evolution. 50 million women, I think, got promoted to become entrepreneurs, and he was a Nobel Prize winner. Nobody in the world of the best of the institution would have thought of that idea. From an economics professor, talking from a poor lady, and giving a 10 rupees loan, just creating stools, and created a revolution across the world. And create a microfinance company or Gramina Bank, which is $33 billion reserve they got. So it is COVID has shaken the whole world. So there are umpteen number of opportunities. So I don't see any problem. It is just a matter of 1 month time. People have to come together. It is not about panel discussion or webinar discussion. Should be applied in action. Examinations is just to be applied philosophy, applied knowledge. If you use it into action, you have an opportunity. In one building of mine, I have 45 people, apartment with 300 people. And if I can supply grocery to 300 people, still I can make equivalent to corporate job salary. So you don't require any PhD, doctorates or research or writing books. It's not required. Across the globe, everybody can be an self-employed personality. I go to entire 40 apartments and manage the plumbing and electrical. I can take 1,000 rupees a day. And Saturday and Sunday, I can wear my blazer and go for a movie and a restaurant and have a party with my family. The 5 days I can do it. So it is all about, see, hardware is so much available in the world. If the computer has to be repaired, that itself I will pay for 100 rupees a month to maintain that. So it is an opportunity there. It is small. Oshin is one of the slave girl from Japan, who was just a slave bonded labor, and she had 87 supermarket chains created in those days when there was no technology, then there was no wealth, there was no communication. Today we have artificial intelligence, we have communication, we can connect with all the 800, the remotest of the person across the globe. We can connect through technology and still make that person sitting in Mount Everest can do an operation, a doctor can do operation through laser technology. So I feel this is the golden opportunity for the world to rise above what has not happened in 100 years. So that fourth wave has to happen, intuitive extrasense ESP. So I am a little out of the box thinker. So I don't want to get run of the mill in a bracket where I say, okay, this is the research says and this is the figure says. Nothing. Everybody can live life. We can live a life. If I look at my family, I hardly need $100, not even $120 to manage 6 members of my family for food and basic requirement. So basic requirement is enough in life. So the world has wonderful idea. I would say people like Andy Wu's, Momayajis, professors, thinkers. Maybe I want to make a beginning and create a case study and create a 1 million entrepreneurs in next 3-4 years and make it as a case study and let Harvard make this as a case study. So let us put it in action. So I would see that Andy Wu will be the part of this mission, and myself, Andy Wu and Momayaji can create 1 million entrepreneurs by just discussion and come out with a framework, and we can create that. Governments is always there, but we can't expect every time the government to come to your help and rescue. Why do we blame the governments? Now there is no subsidies available in this, no free lunch in this world. You have to, because of the subsidies, people become very lazy. You have to stand on your legs. Whether it is Dr. Aparsha Agrawal, she can become a computer, she can become an event manager and conduct 500 webinars and still make money out of it. Okay, I will charge 2,000 rupees for a wonderful webinar. I'll see that Andy Wu and Professor Momaya and Chendraj will come on the platform. She only has to link. I'll say, okay, I charge 100 rupees for my services minimum, and still she can make her life. So it is all about internal ability in ourselves, and everybody is skilled. There are people who can do with precision their work. Even a sweeper has a career in life. So it is up to even a broomstick created can change houses, and DMart has created that. So I feel it is a golden opportunity. I just don't want to talk about COVID only. I'm sure Andy Wu's professor will agree with me and Momayaji will agree.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Before I come to you, Dr. Andy Wu, I'd like to quickly hear from Dr. Dinesh Neelkant. He's been hearing to all of us for an hour and a half. So, sir, I'd just like to ask you, what are your closing comments on the kind of discussion we've had today? So you'll have to unmute yourself.
Rohit, please, final comments from Professor Andy Wu.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, better.
I will take from him.
Rohit, better to take Andy Wu. I can talk later.
Okay. All right. So coming to you, Dr. Andy Wu, your closing comments on the win-win situation.
Yeah, so you're asking for what are the win-win opportunities going forward. I would say it's that we need to challenge and then trust our private companies and nonprofit organizations like universities to take the right actions in the next few months to do the right thing. In the initial start of the fear of coronavirus, I think the initial reaction of many people was to actually shut down companies, to force companies to close. And I think that may not be a completely fair reaction. I think many companies, most companies are ready to do the right thing and ensure perhaps even better safety operations than the government can provide. I'll give you an example here in my hometown. So I can guarantee you in the next couple months, so Harvard is obviously in Boston, General Electric also has a headquarters here. I can assure you that our contact tracing program and testing program and when the vaccine's available, our vaccine distribution will vastly supersede anything the government can offer. Why? Because we have a tremendous profit incentive to make sure everyone gets the vaccine, right? And so the incentives are all aligned for companies, I think, to do the right thing. But again, we have to put the right controls and challenge them to do it. But again, I think we need to give companies and nonprofits more credit than we're currently giving them, that they will figure out a way to find ways to keep people safe. That's one thing. The second is a general note, I think, going to all the young people. And when I say young people, I mean people under the age of 22 and 23 that are watching with us right now. First thing I want to say on behalf of myself and everyone older than me, I'm very sorry. Like, we did not do a very good job in the last couple months as a global society, and we really could have done better. The thing I would leave with, though, is that it's often said in the United States, the quote unquote greatest generation of the United States is the generation that grew up young in the Great Depression in the 1930s and then lived and fought in World War II. And there's something to be said about like young people going through a lot of very difficult situations when they're young, in the sense that it builds character and creates like a sense of common ownership and like caring about society and becoming a leader. And, you know, and the one thing that we have done well is we've definitely given people under the age of 23 a very aggressive dose of leadership building. And so I'll leave with that, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your comments. I think that was the right piece of advice to all the viewers watching you and hearing you right now. Dr. Dinesh Nilkant, your closing remarks, if any?
Okay, my closing remark will be, I've heard all of them, and I think, you know, that was really nice where everybody spoke about the positivity out of it. And we are all waiting for the next generation model to come in. And that is going to make a difference to the society. And I'm very sure that we are going to learn new ways, and these new ways are now going to rule us. And that is how we are going to live. So that's my closing remark. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Panelists, thank you so much for joining in. And we've had a lot of, reflection to seek from this entire session with you all today. Thank you so much for taking time and giving us all your consideration. Now I'd request Professor Sunita BK, our dear HOD, to give away the closing remarks and the felicitation. Ma'am, you'll have to unmute yourself, please.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Rohit. This is not a formality of thanking, but yet this was an inspiring session. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our President, Dr. Chenraj Roychand, our Chancellor, Sri C.G. Krishnadas Nair, Vice Chancellor, Dr. N. Sundarajan, the principal officers, and the entire fraternity of Jain doomed to be University for developing an ecosystem that has transformed the society and contributed significantly towards the economic growth. I thank our esteemed director, Dr. Dinesh Nilkant, who never fails to support us, and his golden words of advice in our endeavors and for inspiring us with his mentorship and guidance. I'm extremely thankful for our speakers, Dr. Chenraj Roychand, President Jain deemed to be University. Sir, knowing you from 16 years, I always tell that when do you repeat your speech? To my surprise and also shockingly, you never repeat yourself, sir. Thank you so much for always inspiring us. Dr. K. Sudhakar, Minister for Medical Education, Government of Karnataka, Dr. Andy Wu, Professor, Harvard Business School, Dr. Kiran Kumar S. Mumaya, Dr. Varun Aran, for giving us an enriching insights about the present disruptive scenario of the global market and economy, and making us hopeful for elaborating the avenues of stimulating economic activities and showing us the way in unprecedented times, showing us the direction of the light in the end of the tunnel. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our HODs for extending the hands of support, which has been instrumental in the success of this event. I would also like to thank our coordinators, Ms. Jayashree, Ms. Chaitra, for their assistance, the extremely talented and supportive faculty members for their participation and encouragement, the facilities manager, the non-teaching staff of CMS, Jain deemed to be universities, whose contribution have played a significant role in success of this event. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our wonderful participants for this evening, whose engagement and active participation has fulfilled the purpose of this event and has made this successfully. Finally, I would like to take the privilege of thanking each and everyone present here for the panel discussion, wishing our esteemed speakers and all our participants a very good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So once again, panelists, thank you so much for bringing in all your expertise and experience before us and engaging in such fruitful, constructive, and open exchanges throughout the session. Thank you so much again. And a hearty thanks to all our participants who've joined us across 60 different countries. Thank you so much for participating. And we look forward to hosting you all on our next event very, very soon. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day ahead. And to all the folks in India, have a blessed night ahead. Once again, thank you one and all for being such a wonderful audience. We thoroughly enjoyed, and we sincerely hope even you did. Thank you once again.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so
Dr.
much.
Wu, thank you so much.
Nice
Dr.
to meet
Momaya, thank you so much.
Yeah, well organized. I congratulate whole team.
Thank you.
And I wish that, I mean, like that young people have gone with some optimism and positivity.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you so much, sir.
So nice to meet all of you. And we'll
Thank
meet.
you.
I will share
Thank
some
you,
of
sir.
the detailed slides so that it may benefit some of the participants. You can
Sure,
share
sir.
that with them. Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so
Good
much. Bye-bye. Dear participants, I hope you all have filled in your feedback form. If you haven't, please do it at the earliest. We'll keep our feedback links open for the next couple of minutes, and post which we shall be closing. So thank you once again for joining in. It was a pleasure hosting each one of you. Thank you.